they might not be interacting with like a rural working class man, or they might just like kind of write that person off or like think of them in a certain way and just put them into like sort of a category and be like, that's who they are. And it's like, I want people to like listen to these songs and like you did and just feel like I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I could be that, or like I understand that. I understand how, that is hard, or I understand how, certain parts of that life are really fun and beautiful, and then other parts of it are like sad and difficult.
Today on the show, we are joined with Sara May of Falcon Jane. Recently, Falcon Jane has released their brand new album titled Legacy, and around hearing all the details on that, we learn about Sara's own legacy and evolution as an artist. This is such an awesome and introspective chat. Talk about some deeper stuff, beyond the surface stuff, and have a few laughs along the way. Hope you enjoy this one as much as I did recording it. I feel like this one's way overdue.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it, and I remember back in the day when I had like the studio space, I always had you in mind to come in that studio, and just things happened. We lost it. The pandemic happened. I turned to Zoom calls. And then I started doing these interviews with like just people all over the world, and I unintentionally neglected my own community by just like trying to please all these different PR people. And then years go by, and I'm just like, oh my God, like there's so many special peoples in my own circle who I haven't even had on here. So this is awesome to talk to you today on here.
Yeah, I'm happy that we're finally doing this. I remember when you had Sages on your podcast, and
Mhm.
that was pre-pandemic. Yeah, that was like
Yeah, it
in the
was.
studio. That was like and she might have been playing in our band at the time, or she might have just just came out of that project. But yeah, that was when I was like, yeah, I should talk to Sean. And that was like probably 5 years ago. So here we are.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, even
Yeah.
going back, that was around like Feeling Freaky, and I think that was
Yeah.
2018. Am I
Yeah.
correct? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, she kind of introduced me to you guys, and yeah, it just I've been a fan of your music ever since. Like even it's cool to kind of see how you've evolved through the releases as well. With like Feeling Freaky, kind of has like this, I guess, pop feel to it to me, and then with Faith, you kind of went in like a synthy vibe, and now this new one, Legacy, it's kind of got this outlaw country-ish feel to it, but it all sounds like you too at the same time. It sounds like it's coming from a genuine place. And can you kind of like let me know a little bit about like your own personal evolution of like changing the style? Is it like a natural thing that's happening and everything?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty natural. And I wonder how it seems to other people. I mean, I shouldn't care what other people think, but I wonder if, like, especially the switch to the more country thing going on with Legacy, if it felt like forced. But honestly, it was just like very natural. We were just listening to a lot more country music, and just really liked it and got into that. And I think I kind of like had like started playing guitar with like country-ish music like John Prine and Emmylou Harris, and like learning Dolly Parton songs and stuff like that when I was just first starting to play. So I think it was sort of always there, but it was definitely an intentional choice to like try to like push towards that genre. I don't know like how successful we were in like achieving the genre. Like you said, it still sounds like Falcon Jane, and it still sounds like me, which is good. Like that's what I would hope for. But yeah, it was like, why not lean in this direction if that's where sort of our listening is at right now, you know?
Definitely. And I think it's cool, like when you dropped this project, I remember hearing what was the single? Man of Action, is it?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Was that
yeah.
the first, that was like the first one you dropped, right? Or was that
Yeah, one of the singles. There was like, yeah, it's been a bit of a journey. There was like one initial single last summer before, like that wasn't really tied to that release campaign, but yeah, then Man of Action came out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember like listening to it in passing as you posted on like social media, but not diving into the album. I feel like I've been like oversaturated with stuff, but like getting to talk to you today, I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely gotta like check this out. And just listening to the whole thing, like I must have listened to it maybe 5 or 6 times this week, front to back. Like it is such like a special like piece of music and just fucking awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. That really, really means a lot to me. It means a lot that you listened to it at all. But I'm just so happy that you enjoyed it enough to listen to it again.
No, it's definitely dope, and no doubt I'm gonna like give it another spin. But also another thing that I think is really cool is just like recently your promotion around it too, and making an actual like video game.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like just like the big picture of things, like kind of like the landscape of like the music industry right now. There's just so much stuff like going out, and even like I'm having trouble following things I actually enjoy and like listen to, like you yourself and other bands and stuff like that. I start missing things because there's so much, but I feel like you need to do something these days to like stand out, and that is such a unique thing to do. And I just kind of want to know like how that idea came about and everything.
It's been kind of brewing for a couple years. The album definitely feels like it takes place in like a place or like a setting. It's very like it's got that sort of location vibe to it. Like when I listen to it, I'm like I can picture places where I don't know if in previous albums I had that so much. Like it was more like an emotional thing. Like I could picture the emotion, or I could picture like the feeling behind the song. But so many of these songs on the album, like I can picture like a physical place or like an actual person or character. So that like lent itself to opening up like this world, like stepping into this this other world that isn't like it that world exists in our world. It's not like this fantasy world or anything. It's like it's just like a subsect of our society. So I think Nick from Darling Recordings, he's connected with, he's friends with the game developer from Japanese Breakfast, which was Japanese Breakfast released this video game a few years ago for an album to go alongside with an album. So he had that connection there. And so that kind of sparked the idea. And then he was like, what if we do like kind of choose your own adventure trucker game where you're driving a truck and like trying to like get places. And I was like, oh, like cross country Canada.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then and then he was like, what's that? Because the label is in America. So I was like, you don't know about cross country Canada? And I was like, it's essentially like Oregon Trail, but you're driving a truck. And like everyone in my generation, not everyone, but a lot of people in my generation played it at school in the computer lab. That's where I played it. And like I fell in love with the game when I was a kid. So then, we kind of did some more research about that game. And he worked with the game developer as well. And looked into that and like built this whole thing. I really didn't have too much input on the game other than the fact that like the songs are there and the songs sort of inspired it. I just kind of let them do their thing and be creative and yeah, have fun with it.
Yeah, it's so cool. And yeah, I love that it's like just a direct reference of like cross country Canada, but
Yeah.
less like trying to like be an educational thing. It's more like just kind of like this deep emotional journey. And yeah, it was kind of cool. I played it this morning with my coffee and everything, and I got the ending where you go into space. And like
Nice.
even like hearing your tracks like on the radio, it just fits the mood of it so much. It's just such a cool, beautiful piece.
Yeah, I had a friend say that she likes just putting the game on and like listening to the album as the game because there's that like sort of truck noise, like atmospheric like truck noise that like she likes working to that. Like she's like, I like listening to your album, but sometimes like I can't work and listen to it at the same time. But I put on the game, the album on the game, and it's got that kind of like atmospheric sound, and I just like listening to that as I'm working. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's cool.
I could see that too, because even as like the game ended too, it gives you like a choice if you like want to start over or check out the album, or you can just sit there and listen to it. And I was
Yeah.
just like clicking through the stations and just like chilling, you know?
Yeah.
It's super cool. And even
I
like just
know.
kind of the way the album is mixed in it, it's like a little like I don't know the word, like a little like fuzzier, like it's coming
Yeah.
from like an older radio and also like just the retro vibe of the game. It's just so cool. And again, like reminds me of almost being a kid in that computer lab and turning on cross country Canada, and that was always like the go-to game too. They
Yeah.
had like a bunch of like math ones and stuff like that, but
Yes.
like everyone would click the truck one because it's just like it looks like a game like type of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
that's
it's like I was watching some gameplay of it recently. It's so like you just like typing like eat food and then like get gas and then it's like I don't know, it's not very like engaging. Like as a kid, I was like so engaged in it, but all you're doing is
Mhm.
like drive, and just like typing these things and then things are happening. But it was very exciting as a child.
Yeah, I have a theory like back in the day, like in the 90s when we played like video games and stuff. I think our imaginations filled in like the blanks of what was like lacking. Because even
Yeah.
I just remember like old like Super Nintendo games and PlayStation games, and I go back and look at them now. I'm just like, yo, my head would like get in like a like it looks so dated, but I just remember getting so lost in it where I could just play
Oh
this
yeah.
one game for days, and it like you look at it now and it's just like a bunch of like shitty pixels and stuff.
Oh yeah. I had like imaginary friends from video games that then I was like bringing them into my real life, being like, I'm friends with like Link or like,
Yeah.
Pokemon characters. It's like, but then you go and like play those games. It's like, where did I like actually pick? I'd never actually like seen that person. It was just like a bunch of like square pixels that I was imagining to be something else, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same as well too. And even I kind of noticed too like over time with your albums, even the writings evolved a bit where I feel like listening to Feeling Freaky, it was kind of more about yourself. And as I listen to Legacy, it seems like you're telling stories of different people and stuff like that. Is that am I kind of spot on around that, or like is that something
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
happened over time?
Yeah, you're spot on. It was something I like had never really tried before.
Hmm.
And not that I was really like actively trying it. It sort of just happened. Like I just sort of started writing these stories and I was like, well, I'm writing a song called Man of Action, or I'm writing a song called Bad Boy, or I'm writing a song called Dirty Dog about a man that's been, cheated on and dumped by his partner. And it's like, okay, well, who is this? Where is this coming from? And I think like uh, it was still like real things that I was going through, and real like man of action. I was like grieving the loss of like a friend's father. And so it kind of just like came out like rather than through my perspective, more like coming from like the father's perspective. And like, what does that feel like to, to like slowly deteriorate and pass
Hmm.
away and leave people behind versus just thinking about it from, oh, I'm sad because this person left me. It's like, well, how does it feel to leave? And same with like I Own the Road, the trucker song was like, I could have wrote about feeling sad that I'm left behind as this like, person, whether it's a father or a husband or a sister, whoever is going off and driving a truck and leaving me behind. But it's like, but what does it feel like to actually be the one behind the wheel and choosing to like leave your family behind or your loved ones behind, so it just sort of like I just kind of got into that headspace and then I couldn't really get out. So then here we are.
Yeah, no, it's amazing too. Even like playing the game this morning too, and hearing like some of your tracks come on. I turned into those guys, like just driving down the road. Like I was up like hella early. There was like dead silence. I'm playing this, just having my coffee. Like it was such like the perfect mood. But like it is really cool that you're taking that approach with writing too. And I even noticed the other day. You posted a story of you and Sage's uh doing some writing and like talking about like you watched like something on like coal miners and then like
Yeah.
made songs about like the perspective of these coal miners and
Yeah, I can't get out of it. I'm like now I'm just like I want to tell the story of the working class man, but I need to like find my way back home to like me again. But there's still lots of me even in Legacy. It's just like I said, I kind of got stuck in it. Like I kind of got caught in it, and I don't know whether to keep leaning into it or just to try to like put it to rest now, you know?
Yeah, I feel like you should do both, like whatever comes out natural to you. Because I find like maybe some artists, even like beyond music, whether it's like comedians I talk to a lot as well, and it's always like sometimes just like I guess it's depending on the person, but some people are only digging from their own personal experience.
Hmm.
And sometimes the well goes dry and they're like, "Oh, do I have to have like some crisis or whatever to be an artist?" And they
Yeah.
start actually like thinking like that. Like I talked to a comedian too, and they're like, "Oh, I'm all happy now. I'm married, I have a kid." Like I thought like I wasn't gonna be funny anymore because everything
Yeah.
came from tragedy, and like I'm sure like you can relate to as like your songs have a lot of emotion to it too, but now you
Yeah.
kind of like unlock this other superpower you have where you can take somebody else's story and also have, I guess, that creative empathy to get put
Hmm.
yourself into their shoes and make a world around it, which is hella cool.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It is a lot of empathy and like sort of imagination but I really believe that like there's a common human experience that like, when I'm grieving that is like it can be related to someone else grieving, or when I'm lonely and that's like similar feeling to someone else being lonely even if they're a totally different person than me. So I'm kind of just like trusting that people will resonate with what I'm writing. And also, like, I wanted to create a piece that was like for people that, live in the city and might be like artists or might be, of a certain like social, whatever, social standing or just in a social group that, they might not be interacting with like a rural working class man, or they might just like kind of write that person off or like think of them in a certain way and just put them into like sort of a category and be like that's who they are. And it's like I want people to like listen to these songs and like you did and just feel like I'm that guy. i
Yeah.
i could be that, or like I understand how that is hard, or I understand how certain parts of that life are really fun and beautiful and then other parts of it are like sad and difficult.
Yeah, definitely. It's so cool to like even like think about him. Do you feel like you're the type of person who kind of, I don't know, like feels other people's energies? Like
Oh
if
yeah.
somebody's like sad or happy, and does it like affect you personally as well?
Yeah, yeah, big time. I can't like, yeah, it's it to a fault, I would say. Like I don't watch like horror movies or anything because like I just can't like see people like in pain. It just like feels so bad to me? Or
Hmm.
like yeah, I'm so sensitive to that.
Yeah, even I feel like I'm that type of person, but I didn't even like realize most of my life until like now, like even like just even learning the word of what an empath means and is. And like I always like wondered why like sometimes something would happen to somebody else when I was like a kid and it would like affect my whole day, and other people around me maybe don't have that, and they can be completely fine because it didn't
Yeah.
happen to them. But I don't know. I feel like it's interesting if you have that to be able to like write songs, even though like it could be like a detriment some days, but also be like a power as well to,
Yeah.
I don't know, just capture these emotions and I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It is really interesting. I think it just sort of happens. Like I'm not like, let me sit down and think about that. It's like I'll be already like halfway through a song and I'll be like, whoa, wait a minute, what's happening right now?
Yeah.
It's not really like a choice. It sort of just happens. But yeah, that's cool to think of it as like sort of like a superpower in a way, rather than just like like a detriment of like
Yeah,
taking
yeah.
on other people's shit a bit too much. But
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's even cool too, around like just making music too. You got like such a mind of like how to, I guess, like brand yourself, whether it's like music videos, like I know you do like cinematography stuff as well too. And again, like creating a bigger picture around these songs too. And one video that I always love going back to is it's like the title, the other moon or
Yeah.
something moon. I
Yeah.
remember it
The
had
other
moon in
moon.
it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
usually like I'll type like Falcon Jane Moon, but it's
Yeah. Yeah.
also like I love that one because obviously like you don't have the budget where you can actually like fly to the moon or get like James Cameron or whatever,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
made this video that just you can get lost in, and it feels like so authentic with like the limited resources you have, and made this whole experience of somebody traveling to space. And I just love that video so much.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I love doing that kind of stuff. I mean, every video I make is like extremely low budget. Um, and that one included like I think the most expensive shot was like the shot where I'm walking into the spaceship, but it's just like a U-Haul truck with a ramp,
With a
right? That
bunch
we
of
like
lights coming out of it. Yeah.
lights and like we rented this like industrial size fog machine which I think the guys felt sorry for us so they gave it to us for like $50 for like the whole week and so it was like that and like the U-Haul rental for like the day or the half day or whatever it was. That was like the most expensive thing, so it was like, you know, whatever, $150 or something like that. But I was like, but we need that shot, we gotta like somehow make it look like I'm going in a spaceship. And then the rest of it was like just, you know, I shot it at like my mechanic shop. And they were like super like accommodating and happy to have us there and snuck into a gym to do the other stuff. And like, yeah,
Yeah, no,
kept it low budget.
but I think like it's just cool how like, your mind can work in like find places like a mechanic shop or a U-Haul, and then be able to turn it into a spaceship, a space station, and like that's like such a skill, you know? Like
Oh, thank you.
yeah, it's
But
awesome.
you do video stuff too, right? Like you're a videographer, yeah?
Yeah, I am. I haven't like I feel like again like the budget thing like kind of like hinders some ideas, but I feel like after time this year I'm starting to find a little strive of how to do things almost like how you do it, like
Hmm.
just find other ways and like stuff like that. But I feel like, as you know, it just kind of takes time and like practice and everything.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It is hard. Like a lot of the times I am like, man, I wish I had like 10 grand to make a video right now. But instead I have like whatever, like basically pocket change or whatever I have to try to put something together. And I'm lucky because I've got a camera because that's my job outside of music is making videos. So that takes a lot of the rental cost out right there and I can edit it myself and you know, I've got friends that are always down to help out, but it can be a hindrance, the budget thing. But I also find like people are usually pretty willing to help. Like I don't know if you've seen the video for Eye on the Road, but like we shot that in a diner up on Highway 11 and then there's a scene where we're like playing in front of like a huge transport truck like in like a snowstorm and everything and like people were just like I just drove into the diner one day and I was like, "Hey, can we shoot a music video here?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure." And then they're
Yeah.
like go ahead. And I was like, "No, no, not right now." Like I'll come
Yeah.
back. I'm gonna come back in a week, but like, you know, they were just like, "Yeah, go." And so there's like actual like people like in the background like eating their dinner. Um and my friend that was shooting it with us, she was like, "Man, Sarah, like if you had to hire all these extras, you'd be out like thousands of dollars. But these people are just like chilling, eating their dinner. They don't care that like two people are like a booth over, like singing a song. Like, I don't know. If people are just like nice and if you ask, like there's no harm in asking, people might let you do it, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure that the people who like run that diner are actually like stoked. Maybe like
Yeah.
it sounds like kind of from their vibe that, oh, nothing like that ever happens here. Like, sure, like do your thing, type of thing.
Yeah.
And then they have almost like something they can look at and it's like, that's our diner, type of
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And I'm so like what's the word like self-resourceful or whatever like I don't like asking for help. It's very like uncomfortable for me just like as a personality trait. Um so I often do a lot of things myself like make all my own music videos. I take a lot of my own photos. I like you know, yeah, just in general in life, like I'm pretty resourceful. It's not the right word, or self-resourceful or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but I find like you said, people get excited to help out, and it's cool to like build a community of people around you that are like, oh, I'm like, part of like the Falcon Jane album because like she came and like borrowed this like piece of equipment from me, or because like she shot this scene in my space, and people are excited about that, and people if they have time and whatever, they'd like to help out. And it's a really great way to like just yeah, build that community and get people like on board to be excited for a release or whatever you're making.
Yeah, and I really feel the same. I think we're like such similar personalities of the way we work. Like I try to do so much myself to my own detriment.
Hmm.
Like I do things where I should have a team
Yeah.
and like anybody in their right mind would like build a team, but I'm like doing it by but then I have like these revelations like there's something coming up I don't want to spoil yet, but it's like kind of like a big interview I'm doing like outside in person, and I just asked a couple people and they were just like so excited, like even more excited than me, and I'm like, oh okay, yeah, I need to do this like more often. And also like I feel like you might be the same way. Like sometimes you don't put yourself in other people's shoes who would be
Hmm.
excited about, like you almost think of it as like a detriment, like
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask them and I'm bugging them type of thing. But I notice when some of my friends are doing creative projects too, like I want to be all over that too, like it just help them out as well. So yes, it's kind of a process in my shoes of just being comfy to ask for things and
Yeah.
just being cool with that. I don't know where that comes from, but like it's just been an entire lifetime of that.
I know, I know. And some people are so good at it. Like I have friends that are like so good at asking for help, and I'm like, man, like what how do you do it? I just feel like icky, or like I feel not when I do it, just when I think about doing it, because often when I do it, people are like super excited and like or are like so sorry I can't, but like try this, you know? Um but it's like the thought of like I guess it's like being vulnerable and like putting yourself at like a lower power status to like be like I need something and I'm asking you to like provide it for me. I don't know where it comes from. I'm sure there's like some childhood thing down
Yeah.
there, some moment that I was like asked for help and got a bad reaction or something. But
Yeah.
but yeah,
It's like
now
the
I'm
earliest memory. It's like
yeah, I'll have to go to therapy and try to dig that out because I don't know what it is. But yeah, I love it when people ask me for help. I like get off on helping other people. I'm like,
Mhm.
I want to do it. I'm like, it's one of my favorite things to do. But for some reason, yeah, it's not, it doesn't go the other way.
Same. But also, like, as bad as it is of both of us not asking for help, think of all the skills we acquired from,
We're
like,
so good at
like,
stuff. We're like, we can do anything.
like you're making your own music videos,
Yeah.
video games, like,
Yeah.
fucking on top of like some people just play the music, Sarah, and
Right, right, right.
yeah,
Okay. I'll go back to just doing that. No, it's true. It's
yeah,
true.
it's like a yin yang type of situation.
Yeah, yeah. But there are some things that I am not good at, like lifting heavy things. I've just recently started like asking the band to like carry my amp or like, help
Yeah,
me
yeah.
carry heavier things. Like, I'm not, yeah, that's just one example that comes to mind. But it's yeah. No, I don't know. Even things that you are good at, like even making music videos, even if I know I could do it myself, it still is good to like involve other people. First of all, you're getting like their creative energy, and their creative ideas that are probably going to make it better.
Hmm.
Second of all, it's going to be way more fun than just like turning a camera on yourself and like trying to not be awkward about it. And yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. But yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going.
No,
You know,
all
you know where I'm
facts, all
going. You
facts.
get
Yeah, yeah.
it.
Yeah, and you mentioned the band, and I think it's also cool, like around like all these projects, you've had like different lineups just kind of catering to what the sound was. And I think for a while it was you had like just you and Andrew doing the thing as well and everything. And does that always like depend on like the album, or is it just an ever changing type of thing on your mood?
Yeah, it's sort of like who's around and available, but also yeah, there was a point, you know, leading up to the release of this album where we were playing with this awesome like piano and synth player. Um, and we just like it was like synth and piano like and then bass and I was playing like rhythm guitar and drums, but we had to like the album is so like guitar heavy, like lead guitar heavy that we are like we need to have like a lead guitarist. And so it was just then it was like, hey, do we have like a 5-person band and we have four? So we kind of did like make a swap there to suit the vibe of the album. But otherwise it's just like I love playing with anyone and everyone. And it's just we live in a small town, so it's sort of like will whoever is like willing to come here and jam is like I love it. I'll play music with them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and every
Mhm.
time I've seen you live, I just absolutely adored it. You even like you have like such a cool voice where I was like trying to like explain it to my friend. It was like you almost have like a softness, but it's also powerful at the same time, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
like throughout your time of making music, were you always just like naturally doing that style? Were you like trying different things with how you sound, or did it take you a while to learn how to sing? Was it a natural thing? Like, what was like kind of the inception of you just singing and
Just
making
singing.
music? Yeah, do you remember?
Um, Writing songs, really. Like I started playing guitar and I liked it. And would sing a little bit, but never really thought I was like a great singer. You know, because I was like, you know, a teenager and had never like sang anything before. Like had never been in a choir or anything like that. So, yeah, but then I wrote my first song and it just kind of like I think I like it was just like in this voice that wasn't the same voice that I was using to like sing the John Prine songs or whatever that I had learned on guitar. It was just like kind of came out differently. And then, you know, I was influenced by other artists then as I got older and kept writing songs and like would like play with my voice a lot and try to like make it sound a certain way and you know, it definitely was like cringy for a while or like just like, you know, trying too hard to like be something and
Hmm.
yeah, and then I like learned how to like do like a more of like what people call like a yodeling thing or whatever. I just would call it like a voice crack thing. Like that's more of like the country twangy kind of thing. And so that's been more recent. But I am always like I love female singers. I love singers in general, but I love female singers and I just like I think about singing a lot and I think about like how to do certain things vocally a lot and just like you know, just experiment and play. And I feel like the only way that I get better at singing is like continuing to write songs and like write them in like different styles or like write a song that's got like a note that you have to like hold for like 5 seconds or whatever.
Mm.
Um, which is like that would push me to learn how to do that, you know. Just because like yeah, I don't really there's something that isn't like clicking with me with like learning other people's songs. Like I can do it, but it's more about like wanting to play my own songs that I really feel the growth.
Yeah, that's cool to hear you break it down and everything. Because yeah, every time I listen to one of your tracks, like your voice is just such a unique thing. It almost reminds me of, I don't know, like just when I would like listen to the radio like in the 90s, like I find like artists back then, they all kind of had uniqueness to them. Like they were almost like characters in a way.
Yeah.
And I find, I don't know if it's just me being a disgruntled old man now, like I turn on the radio, I'm like, everybody sounds the same. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I thought this was like Billie Eilish, but it was like somebody else, but it's just like
Yeah.
they're all like just overly compressed and like trying to be this one style. And I guess like that's the way the marketing works too. It's like if they see something that sells and they want more of it, so they're getting other artists who sound like that to pump it out. But I just feel like almost my past of listening to music, everybody kind of had this crazy uniqueness and it made it like special, like from listening to different projects, not always just getting one sound.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. And I sometimes get hung up on the fact that like I'm not like an incredible singer, like I can't like belt the notes I want to belt. My range isn't like huge. Um uh but okay, can I just let my dog out? She's just
Oh,
crying in
of
the
course.
background. I don't
Yes,
know if you
yes.
can hear
Oh,
her. I'll be
no, I
right
can't.
back.
Oh, poor thing. Yeah. As Sarah lets her dog out right now, we just want to remind you that Falcon Jane Legacy is out right now. You can listen to it on all streaming platforms. And also, if you want to directly support the band, give them a few bucks, go check out Falcon Jane on their Bandcamp. You can buy a digital version of this album or also on this very nice exclusive pink vinyl. So yeah, check that out and let's get back into it. Yeah, we were boring the shit out of your
Um,
dog.
yeah,
Yeah,
she's a crier. She's always crying, so
yeah,
it just
poor
drives me
thing.
nuts.
Yeah,
She's not like she's just whining. Anyway,
yeah. She's so not interested in what we're talking about either.
no, she's not. Shut up about the frickin' music already.
She's
She's
like,
like,
I
I've heard
know this
enough.
story. I lived it beside you.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, sometimes I get hung up on the fact that like I'm not an incredible singer. Like I don't have the biggest range. Yeah, I like can't do all the things I want to do with my voice, but then I like listen to music that I really like and oftentimes like the songs that really hit me, like there's nothing like too vocally crazy happening.
Hmm.
It's not like this hugely intricate vocal line. It's just like someone's real voice, or it's just like someone singing. So um I got like the last few years I've been like really trying to like improve my voice to like be able to like do these things I've never done, like to belt and like be like a musical theater singer and stuff like that. But it's just like I don't know. I've been getting a little bit better at it, but it's just like not what I'm built for. So I'm trying to like um get back to just like embracing like what I really am and the voice that I've been given and like, just like stepping into that and seeing it for what it is.
Yeah, no, I definitely like think your voice is incredible, but it is interesting to think about like how there is certain technicalities that maybe you can think in your brain. It's like, oh, I sh need to learn like all this different stuff, but you can think about it like it might not be able to like fit the song, where
Hmm.
maybe in your mind as a musician or whatever, you can like appreciate the technicalities or whatever, but it doesn't like fit the vibe or whatever. And there is like something like you can be doing too much. And actually, I listened to like just such like a funny interview, and it's total opposite genre of what you do. But remember back in like the early 2000s, that song Back That Ass Up with like Juvenile and stuff. I was
Yeah.
listening to an interview with Juvenile, and
Oh my God.
he was like a rapper's rapper, like just like overcomplicating like things. And then he was working with the producers of like that song, like the Big Timer guys or whatever. And he was saying he actually like dumbed down all of his verses, and then it turned into like his most famous thing ever that he's still making money off of like 20
Wow.
years later because he was like just trying to be like the best rapper ever. And then he
Yeah.
had a moment, it's like, okay, like what fits the song, and just kind of like dumbed it way, way back. And it just turned into like this crazy radio hit that just like caught
Yeah.
fire and stuff like that. So it's interesting
Yeah.
to just hear stories about that, like as like maybe an artist you want to like hit these technicalities or whatever, but does it work in the song or whatever?
Yeah, for sure. And it's easy to get self-conscious to be like, I I suck or like, I play guitar too and I'm like, I'm not the greatest guitar player. that sometimes bugs me, but it's not like as doesn't bug me as much as like the singing thing. Like I just feel like I put this pressure on myself to like I need to like be the greatest. Like people need to hear me sing and be like, "Holy crap, that's the greatest singer in the world." But
Yeah.
like I don't like spend every minute of every day singing or playing guitar. So how would that ever happen for me? But it's not about like, you know, technical ability or like showing off the yeah, most technically complicated thing that you can do. It's like writing a great song and like playing great music, like you said, can be so simple. And it's more just about like, to me, like feeling like it's real. Like, does it
Hmm.
hit in a real place? Did it come from a real place? And is it like going to a real place? So yeah. But I have my
Yeah.
days where I'm like, I suck. I can't do this anymore, you know? So
Yeah, 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 yeah. Definitely, it's like, yeah, just thinking about it too. It's all like just about like the vibe creation of the whole piece type of thing too. And yeah, it's interesting. Like some of like my favorite artists, they talk about like being like so self-conscious in ways and having days like yours where you're just like, oh, I suck when there's so many people just absolutely loving and enjoying what you're doing and just don't even like think about like the certain things that might be bugging you type of
yeah.
stuff and
Yeah.
everything. But
It's hard. It's a battle. Like even with this album, it's like it didn't do like as well as I was hoping that it would do, which is like a shitty and interesting feeling. Like I'm not really too down about it. I'm more just like, what does this mean? Or like thinking about it, like objectively trying to think about it. But the truth of the matter is, like when I listen to it, I still really like it, and I'm like, why isn't it hitting? Is it like, did it not feel like real to people? Did it not come from a real place? Because I am sort of writing about like these characters, but I honestly listen to it and I still think it's great, but it's like you you have to really let go of um any kind of expectation that your art on your art, and like any kind of thing of what you think other people might be thinking about it or what they actually are thinking about it. Like it really, not that I've achieved that at all. Like I haven't let that go, but it's just so important to making art. I was reading Amy Poehler's book, Yes Please, I think it's called, and she was saying like you have to really like not care at all about what you're doing. Like you have to care about it, but you can't care about like what other people will think about it at all. Or you can't care about like how successful it's gonna make you or whatever. And it's hard because like once you've had a little taste of like, Faith did really well. And I had a little taste of that and be like, oh, people really like this, people are really excited. The next album is gonna be even like a next step up. And then like it doesn't get there. It's like,
mhm.
then what do you do? And I'm just learning to like shed it all away and just try to start from the ground up again.
Yeah, and I can imagine like putting so much mental work into making an album and then maybe like it not hitting the way you imagine it to can be like really tough. But also like sometimes when it comes to like music or books or films, sometimes they get appreciated like later on and you don't see, I don't know, the love for it right away, you know? And
Yeah.
I had a guest on this year, and it was she's like an electronic artist. Her name's Kanga, and she wrote this song like 6 years ago and just kind of like thought nothing of it. And then in the past year, that exact song that nobody was listening to ended up being on the Terrifier 2 soundtrack
Mm.
and like the Cyberpunk game and shit like that. Like these huge things. But like I can imagine at the time she's like, "Oh yeah, that's kind of like just like a throwaway." And then like later on like somebody just finds it and like appreciates it and I think it's even harder than ever right now to share music, almost going full circle what we were talking about, like with the unique idea of putting it out as like a video game so
Yeah.
people can like see it. Like there's just so much getting blasted every day.
I know.
Just in and it's like different than how back in the day where there was a few radio stations you listen to and everything kind of funnels in together. It's just a huge, like overwhelming universe right now. But yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's
Mhm.
overwhelming. We're oversaturated, and also like yeah, the album's only been out for 3 months, so I should
Yeah, it's
chill out
still a
a little
baby, you
bit.
know? Yeah.
I feel like I've been sitting with it for a while, so I'm like, oh my God. But like, yeah, it's only been 3 months, and I'm like, it's a flop, and no one
Yeah.
likes it. But yeah, no, um, yeah, and Fred Eaglesmith. I don't know if you know him. He's like a Canadian like folk country artist, and he has said at concerts before, like, oh. It takes like 6 years for people to start liking my stuff. Like I'll put out an album, and then 6 years later, like
Yeah.
people will start getting into it or whatever. And it's true. And even him as like an example, it's like he started making music when he was 20, and he's in his late 60s now. And he just puts out album after album, and they're so good. But like by no means was I like following his journey up until like a few years ago, and or a couple of years ago, and now like he's one of my favorite artists, right? It's people just come to things at different times, and you really can't control that at all.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's got to be also rewarding too when you play in front of somebody for the very first time and they see you play live. Because I know seeing you play live, you're like undeniably fucking great. And I've even seen other people's like reactions who weren't familiar with you watch you like a live show and just be like, "Oh my God, what is this?" Like maybe you're on a bill with like five other bands and they came for somebody else and just like how is that like meeting these type of people like after you play? Because I'm sure every time you do a set, there's a new face in the audience.
It's I don't know if I give off like an intimidating vibe, but people don't come up to me too much after to be like, "You're so great." But when it does happen, it's like so amazing. We played in Owen Sound in September, a couple months ago, and this couple came up to me after, and they bought a vinyl, and they're like, "We came from Hamilton to see you play." And I was like,
Oh, awesome.
"What Hamilton? Owen Sound? Like what are you talking about? You
Yeah,
came all
that's
the
a
way." They're like,
drive, right? That's
like I was
crazy.
like
Yeah.
doing the math. I was like, "Do you want some gas money?"
Yeah,
That's too
yeah.
far to go. But it was really nice, and they were like, "We really, really love the album. We've listened to it a bunch," and I was like,
Amazing.
"Wow, like okay." So people do like so it's not a total like people do like it like how I like it. It's not a total failure of a piece of music.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would love to have more conversations with people. We played at the Monarch in August or September recently, like after the album was out, um as we were playing, I always like talk between songs, and I was going on and on about drinking Jaeger or whatever that night for some reason. I was just on a Jaeger kick for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And anyways, in the middle of a couple songs, and like someone from the audience yelled like, "Who are you?" Like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, like, oh well, I'm Falcon Jane." And but it was like uh, it was such a nice moment because it really felt like this person had come in to see the band that we were opening for, which was Nicolette and the Nobodies. They had come in to see them, and then we were playing, and they were kind of like, "Who is this? Like,
Yeah,
what's
they're
going
like,
on?"
what the fuck? This is amazing. Like, I need to the point
Like
where they need to scream during your set. Like, yeah, I need to know who you are right now.
yeah, who are you? And that was great. And like I think it was like they felt comfortable to do that because I was being so chatty between songs. Like
Yeah.
I don't like I'm not good at giving off the like mysterious, like too cool for school musician vibe. Like I'm just like I am what I am. I'm an open book. I'm a bit cheesy. I'm whatever. So it was nice. Like it felt genuine. I still don't know who said it. Like
Yeah,
but
because
it
the
felt
people
genuine.
don't really know when you're on the stage. The lights are sometimes so bright, you just see like little silhouettes all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I was like, "Who said that?" And no one like said me or whatever. So,
Yeah.
anyway, yeah.
They got shy all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
you ever step off stage and somebody who doesn't know you comes up to you and just like, "Good job, Jane."
Oh yeah. Oh
Like
yeah.
they
People
think that's
always
your
call me
name.
Jane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like other bands that like will like be there for sound check. like, hey Jane. I'm like, hey, I don't really correct them. Like, I don't know. I love the name Jane. I wish my name was Jane. So the more people that call me it, the better, in my
Yeah.
opinion. But yeah. Yeah, I don't mind. Like, I don't know. Should
Yeah.
I mind? Should I correct them? Is that weird if I don't?
Oh, I guess that's just up to your discretion. It's your art and everything.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
maybe you should make like Andrew like the Falcon, like put like a couple feathers on him, and just people like
Yeah.
in the back of the room would be whispering, "That must be the Falcon." Just like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a good idea. He would love that. He suits that name too. He's such a falcon.
yeah, shout outs to him. And like, yeah, it's so
Yeah.
cool that you guys kind of just are rocking this together too, no matter what the lineup is. I notice he's uh he's always like a part of it with the guitars and everything. And yeah, even like there was a handful of years ago you did one of his project, and I remember hearing you guys do cover a Wicked Game, which
Mm.
spun over and over and over again. I don't know. There's something about that song, and then your voice on top of that too. It's just like, oh, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. You can't. I
Oh
got a
my
sweat around,
God,
but
Sean.
but no, it's so
Yeah.
badass. But
Yeah, we were well, it was like 2020. We were supposed to release Faith, and then I got like a call or whatever email from our label being like, I think this like COVID thing might delay the album release. And this was like early March or whatever. And I was like, what? Like, how could like a sickness delay an album release? How could it ever like connect? How would that ever, anyway? Then I was, I figured that out pretty soon after. But so we had this album that we were like waiting to release, and then Andrew just kind of started making covers, like recording covers, and then I kind of just like joined in the fun. So we put out like a 5 song covers EP. And then that was when like I recorded a cover of a John Prine song. And that was the first time I'd really like tried doing like a country kind of twang to my voice. And I was like, oh,
cool.
this kind of sounds good. And then that like led into writing more country stuff. Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah,
Andrew's amazing. He's always always there, as you said. You're like, he's always there. Like
yeah.
he
You guys are
is
the duo.
always
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
But yeah, it's been great. We basically recorded the whole Legacy album, just us two. We brought in a couple people, like someone with Lee from Ace of Wands came in to play violin. We had a friend Dylan from Montreal that played pedal steel remotely. And then other than that, it was just us two that did it all. So it was a really nice experience.
yeah. It's super cool, and it's cool to hear like just a lot about like your evolution of throughout the albums and like what you're up to now and everything. And definitely around this interview, we're gonna put links to everything, especially
Nice.
the video game. I think everybody needs to play this as
Yeah.
well. And I guess like as a final question, I notice more than ever just like recently I've been getting like a lot of messages of people who listen to these segments who are creators themselves or like aspiring creatives. And would you have any like maybe general advice for somebody who's starting to make music and trying to find their voice?
Hmm. Like Nike says, just do it.
Fuck around and find out.
Yeah, I I teach guitar lessons for teenagers at this like rehab center on
Mm,
Mondays. That's my little Monday thing that I do. And it's 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 really cool. These kids are coming in, they're like in the midst of this healing journey that they're on. And for some reason they decided they wanted to sign up for guitar lessons. And then they come into this room and it's me there. And so I'm like, I feel sort of the weight of that. It's like, okay, I'm like the first person to teach this teenager how to hold a guitar and how to like strum a guitar. And um especially in that situation, I'm like, just do what feels right to you. Just
mm,
do whatever is going to make this fun and make it feel like the thing that you want to do. Don't, if I'm trying to teach you a song and you hate it and you don't like playing it, don't play it. Like, I
mm,
like just find the thing, whether it's you love like hammering out chords or, I have this one student. and she just wants to learn like the vocal lines on guitar to like One Direction songs.
Oh yeah.
That's her thing. And so it's like if that's I don't have to teach her anything else other than that. But just do the thing, whether it's songwriting or strumming chords or figuring out little melodies or whatever that makes it like feel magical and feel special to you, because that's where the healing comes in, and that's
Mm.
where the power comes from, and that's what's going to make it not like a chore. That's what's going to make it like part of who you are and something that you can express yourself through.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love how you give these people like this experience too, because I've seen some music teachers too where they're just so strict. It's like you need to know the theory and you're playing like some Beethoven song you don't give a fuck about. But you're like you're like, what do you love? Let's kind of incorporate that, and then if you want to do more, if this is your interest, you could got the freedom to do that. And I think that's really really awesome. And
Mhm.
especially I guess like the environment you're in it too is just around like a rehab center too. It's like there's more layers to that, and you're actually like helping people more than just teaching them music, like kind of giving them a healthy escape too. And I love and respect that so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun. I didn't think I could do it when I first started, but I've been doing it now for almost 2 years, and I love it. It's just they're really like special kids. So yeah.
Yeah, much respect. And so the album's out now. Are you gonna be playing like some shows anytime soon, or are you just kind of going one day at
Yeah,
a time,
we're
like
going one day
feeling
at a
it out?
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did some shows like around the release at the end of August, early September, and now I go to bed at like 7 o'clock at night, so I'm not sure how the shows would fit into that schedule.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like such a sleepy time of year, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
it's
it's dark
like
at like 4. You're like,
I
I
know
don't
I'm
want to
like
do anything.
I have to drive somewhere right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we'll play shows. We play like almost once a month at a brewery near where we live, and that's just like kind of a duo, cute little cozy thing. But other than that, yeah, we'd like to get some more full band stuff happening. Hopefully, get out to like Montreal and play some more stuff in Toronto. I'm just sort of taking it as it comes. I'm not, um, you know, yeah, I'm not trying to force anything right now.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's cool. That's the way to be in. But selfishly, I hope you come to Toronto real soon. I haven't got my Falcon Jane fixed since prior to the pandemic, so it's long overdue, like this interview.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but yeah, Sarah, I just want to say it was so cool to catch up and like learn about like a bit more about your legacy and everything, pun intended.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, as you are booking shows or other releases too, we'll be sure to share that as well. And hope we can do this again around the next one as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. It was really great talking to you, and I appreciate the thoughtfulness that you put into this interview. And yeah, it was just really great to be part of the creative imbalance.
Boom! Thanks again to Sarah for joining me on the show. Like I mentioned at the beginning, this one's long overdue. Such a fan of her work and just overall her as a person. And like we mentioned, her album Falcon Jane Legacy is streaming everywhere right now. If you want to throw her a few bucks, go to her Bandcamp. And also, check out that video game. We'll have the link to that in the YouTube description. And also, if you happen to be listening to this on Spotify, Apple Music, or any of those fun podcasting apps, you can find the link at thecreativeimbalance.com and then clicking on the Falcon Jane episode there. And before we go, like always, we got to thank all you wonderful legends on our Patreon page, supporting the show, keeping the lights on. And first, the biggest thanks to our friend Mike Carniello with the Testing with Mike YouTube channel. If you're into electronics, technology, how they work, and most importantly, how to fix them, check out Testing with Mike on YouTube. Another huge thanks to the lovely Amanda McKnight. Amanda also has her own YouTube channel and amazing community. You can check that out by typing in Amanda McKnight or VampX13 and subscribe to that for some good vibes as you celebrate comic books, movies, video games, and all things nerdy. That's Amanda McKnight on YouTube. Another huge thanks to the wonderful Jenny Potter, the legend Devin McBride, back-to-back double impact Allens, the number one gent Alan Kent, and bigwig Alan Briggs. Huge thanks to the queen, Ola Mazuka, and our old pal Josh Davis, aka Jay Dizzle, and last but not least, Francis Coffer, aka my mom. If you want to support the show and have a shout out at the end of every episode and also get these episodes early, raw, uncut, right when I'm done the Zoom call, I just post them. You can go to patreon.com/the creative imbalance. And beyond having my forever thanks, you can just go to bed at night and sleep soundly, knowing you're a badass motherfucker who supports raw, uncut, independent media. And nobody can take that away from you. You hear me? And with that being said, our next episode is episode 250, and goddamn, we got a big guest. I think a lot of you are going to get a fucking kick out of this. I'm so excited. As I'm recording this right now, I'm recording that tomorrow. So stay tuned, and we'll catch you next time. Yeah.